And Aaron O'Toole. He is the former leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, and he is a member of the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. relations, following this very closely and really kind of on the front lines. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Good to be back with you.
All right, so what's going on here behind the scenes? What do you think?
Well, there was a window to approach a deal with the Americans, given the latest threat of new tariffs, the 338 tariffs that the president talked about almost a month ago. He gave a 30-day window, and that's August 19th. And that opened up the window for talks again, because the American economy is impacted in a negative way from the tariff regime of the Trump administration. They don't like to obviously admit that, but I think it's positive that there's talk about a deal that would allow not only those 338 tariffs not to be applied, but perhaps we can get some relief on the 232 tariffs, the steel and aluminum, and the tens of thousands of workers impacted by that sector. So there's a window of opportunity. I'm glad that both sides are talking.
How significant do you think it is that not only the two sides are talking, but working on what you just talked about, the potential deal to present to President Trump later this week or early next week?
I've always said there's two negotiations with the Americans while President Trump is in office. There's the formal one through the USTR, the trade representative, Mr. Greer, a member of his cabinet. And then there's the president. The president is very, responds to things emotionally, and either support or reject what his team brings him. So I do think Ms. Charette and Dominic LeBlanc are trying to make sure the main negotiations with the formal measures are in place. And I think the president and the prime minister have remained in touch and spoken about the potential of a deal. So if we can get a negotiation to a good point and then take it to the president, perhaps we can work on what would be a deal and normalizing somewhat relations between the two countries on a trade level.
Let me get to the question. Could we realistically see a last-minute deal that prevents these new tariffs from taking effect?
I think so. And I've been in favor, both in the first Trump administration and this one, in terms of a grand bargain where we bring in everything that we provide to the Americans, everything from energy security we secure for them, the food security through potash and several critical resources that we share. And now that we're spending our 2% of NATO and we're doing more in the Arctic, let's collaborate like we have since World War II on Arctic security, on North American hemispheric defense. I think Canada wasn't serious on those fronts for several years. Now we are. So perhaps we can put everything together and try and get as good a deal as possible, knowing full well the deal is only worth the paper it's written on if the president doesn't abide by it. So Canada needs to be a responsible party here, and we can hope that the counterparty will respect any agreement that might be reached.
Here's where things get tricky. If concessions are made by Canada, let's say on U.S. alcohol sales in different provinces that are boycotting it right now, or the dairy sector primarily in Quebec, how challenging would it be realistically to get those provinces on side and agree to go along?
Well, I know the government is speaking regularly with the provinces, both the Prime Minister and the Premiers, but also Minister LeBlanc and Janet Charette and our ambassador with the provincial trade representatives and the senior civil servants and ministers. So everyone's trying to have a Team Canada agreement here. There will need to be serious movement by the Americans on a few items, namely 232 tariffs, as I said earlier, on steel and aluminum, tens of thousands of jobs, particularly manufacturing jobs related to these sectors. They're hurting. So I think the provinces will see if we can make some progress that will benefit their workers, perhaps on softwood lumber as well, some sort of certainty. It will be worth them pausing or stepping back from their beverage alcohol bans and things like that. So this is a time where Team Canada has to try and get as good a deal as we can. And I truly hope that we work with the federal team to try and use this window of time before August 19th.
Aaron O'Toole served as leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, of course, and is now a member of the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. Relations. He is in Toronto. Wonderful to have you part of our coverage today. As always, Aaron, thank you for taking time for CTV.
Thank you.